I'm Jane and welcome to What Can Silhouette Studio Do for the Planner in You? This is a recap of the workshop that I gave at the recent PlannerFest meeting in Manchester at the end of July. And in this video we're going to take a photograph of a doodle in a planner and turn it into a line drawing that we can make a sticker, and then also where we can add colour to that sticker and make it look different. As usual, I'm in my workspace and my setup here is I have my spacing as inches, so each big square is an inch, and I have my divisions at 8. That just so you know when I'm talking in inches. You can use centimetres and you set that in the general preferences down here, and you can choose millimetres or centimetres, and that's this gear icon. All of those sorts of settings and things are in the PDF. Don't forget there is a PDF full of useful information that you can also download. So let's get started, and today's drawing is from Stephanie of UK Planner Addicts. I asked for doodles and things that people did in their planners, and they sent me a little photo. And so this photo is just taken probably with a camera phone, I would assume. It's nothing special, so don't think you have to have special equipment to be able to do this. You could even, if you've got a scanner, pop your page in the scanner. It really doesn't matter because you're going to be drawing and changing it anyway. Now, unlike our previous JPG where it came in huge and we needed to resize it, we don't for this because we're going to be drawing anyway. But I do want my grid on, and I do also want my line and my fill panels open. If you've got a smaller screen, for instance a laptop, you might not have room to have all these open. So you can do your colour here up at the top, and this is the line colour with the red box there. And this is your line style, and then you'd put your width in here. Otherwise you open your panels one at a time. So let's zoom right in so I've got a very good view. If I hold my space bar, I can just bring it down so that I've got a good view. I'm going to select my photograph. Now, one thing I won't be able to do once I start drawing, you've seen me before just drag around things like this to select them. We'll be clicking on them and holding the shift button today, because with the picture being underneath, every time I drag like this, I'll end up selecting the picture, which is not what I want. So I'm going to select my picture now though, and I'm going to increase the transparency to about 45-ish, doesn't matter, just so I can get a feeling for the grid underneath there. Let's straighten it. So we'll get our little green rotate handle, and I'll line up this bottom line with a grid line. And now I want to draw some lines, and let's set line style, which is going to be solid. The width, well, this is all trial and error. I worked out 8.5 looked quite good for this, so I'm going to put 8.5 and press enter. I like really good sharp corners, especially when it comes to the top of this apex on the Asda roof, but I do like round ends, so I'm going to use round ends there. And for a colour, we could do it in black, but so that we can see exactly what we're up to straight away, let's make it a really bright orange. And we don't want a fill colour because we're not actually doing shapes, we're doing lines. So click this hash and make your fill colour transparent. And then simply, we're going to be drawing lots of lines. And to do that, we're going to take this line tool here. So we're going to draw a line, and for a straight line, which I'm going to do across here, you can hold the shift key down and you will get a perfectly straight line. And that's a really good place to start. I know that that's nice and level and everything's right with the world. Let's have a go at the roof next. And this time we don't want line because we don't want lots of little ones. We want this one, the polygon. And this will give us some nice straight corners. So draw a polygon and we'll follow the drawing. It'll be a little bit off kilter, but we can tidy it up when we're editing. So let's go there, click once, then go up to the middle, click again, down to here, click again, and then up to here and click again. I've tried to match the other side, but I've got that awfully wrong. Now when you get to the end, it's expecting you to finish the shape, and we're not going to do that. So you can either double click, but I find that a bit awkward, or you can press the escape button on the keyboard, and there we go, we're out of it. So now we've got our roof. So now we just need our detail lines, and again that's just going to be, let's draw a line, and to get it nice and straight I'm going to do the shift key and drag down. So these are the uprights at the side, and then for the second one I don't need to draw it, I can copy it, and you can do copy and paste from the top, undo. You can also use duplicate over there, undo, and you can also hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and you see the cursor turns to a little plus, and then you can just drag. And I like that one. That's a really quick way, especially when we're doing lots of lines. There we go, that's our middle bits. We can tidy all this up shortly. Now I need, well, let's do the letters next, because that's probably the bit that's needs the more care. I don't know if more care is the right word. It might look as though it's going to take more effort. We could cheat and use the font, but you're not going to. You're going to learn how to do it freehand. So draw smooth freehand with the pencil. Take the smoothing to about 20, 21. And we need to change our line thickness or width or whatever here. And we'll make it 5.5 and press enter. And now we're just going to roughly follow the ASDA that Stephanie has written, and this will be dreadful. Please don't judge my writing. I'm using a mouse with my left hand and I'm right-handed, so it's going to be awful. Now I wonder if you can see all those little grey dots. Can you see them? They're all the edit points. And we're not going to need all of them, but because my hand is a bit judgery, every time it's making contact, it's saying, this is a point I need to remember. If I let go, you can see it's a little bit wavy. And then we'll draw the one across as well. There we go. Now, we'll carry on and do the others, and I'll do them quickly. I don't need to be perfect because I'm going to be able to edit them. That's the really good thing about this. We don't need to be perfect. In fact, I didn't need to do this A at the end either. I could have just copied the other one. Now let's pick up our selection tool. So we've done our basic letters. Now here's where me being a perfectionist will spend ages making these look really, really nice. But let me show you quickly how you would edit them. You've seen me before do the point editing, so you go double click very quickly and you get this nice panel, and you can see all these grey points now. When you're doing printing for stickers, these really don't matter. It doesn't matter how many of these points are in there. We could leave this and it makes no odds. It will still print, it'll just be a bit wiggly. But when it comes to cutting, if we were making a big A and we were going to cut this out, the Cameo would be trying to read every single one of these grey edit points. And it doesn't need to, because they're not necessary. We only need 3 or 4 at most. So in this case, we can click Simplify, and it's taken us down to about 4 or 5. I've got an extra one there, so let's delete that one because we don't need it. And actually I don't need this one in the middle here either. Can get rid of that. And now you can see I've got much smoother lines. I've got blue handles, and I can make the letters fatter, thinner. I can do all sorts of weird things. And this is what you would do next. You would just come into this and edit your A and, well, oops, you see there I've caught the thing behind there, and you would just edit your letters until you're happy with them. Now I'm not going to spend long doing it, but I'll show you the S again. Can you see all these edit points? Once again, you don't need them, so let's click simplify, and we've got a lot less there, and we've also got another extra one there immediately which we don't need, and we can take that up there, see, and mess around until, the thing with edit points is they just take a little bit of getting used to, and once you get used to them, they're really quite fun. And you can see that because I've already forgotten that I'm making this video for you, and I'm just off on, you know, let's just make this look perfect. As you can see, you can spend as long or as little time on doing this as you want. And I really ought to stop now. Right. Stop, Jane, stop. So that is what you do. You go in, you edit your letters, and you make them nice and smooth until you're happy with it. So let's also just briefly look at the rest of the design. So we'll leave the lettering alone, and let's stick and get some of the rest of the designs in. Now, the detail lines for giving the hint of windows and the door, I used a width of 4 points, same orange colour, so it's still there, no fill, and we'll just draw a straight line again, so hold the shift key. And then this is where I found the alt key really handy, because I could just keep doing alt like that and bring that over here. So I won't do all of them, I just want to give you an idea again of how I did it. There we go. So you'd have those like that, and then of course we need some going across, so we can draw another one, hold the shift key, and then when we need an extra one, just like so. And again, you do that on the other side, the same. I've forgotten to do the path here, and that again is at 8.5 because it's the same as the outline of the building. So let's put that in, and again it's a polygon. I'm going to start here, come out and go like so, and press escape. I'm going to select it and cheat by going to Object, Replicate, Mirror Right. You can also use the Replicate panel over here, and you've got Duplicate, or you've got Mirror Right, which would be this one, like so. So you've got 2 options of being able to do that. So then I can move him over here, and once you've got all of your pieces together of the design, it's really just about titivating and lining it all up until you're happy with how it looks. So I'm not going to spend ages on that, so we'll open the one that I made earlier. It's like Blue Peter. And here you can see that's the original again. Here's my orange one, and I'm going to explain this black one now. This orange one is exactly what we were doing on the other page, except that I've put all the extra lines in, and these what I call detail lines are all in 4 point. You can see they're a little bit smaller, and I've got the door and a little bit here across the side, so everything's in. The letters are nice and smooth. It's looking wonderful. So once I've done that, I'm going to duplicate it. I always make sure I work on a copy because it's so easy to ruin what you were doing, and we'll move that one off to the side. And I'm going to turn this one black, and it's getting to look like the sticker now that you can see down here, isn't it? So now we need to resize it. Now I know my sticker size. I went for something that was 1.5 inches wide by 1.7 inches high. And of course, if you remember, you do your stickers by clicking the rectangle and drawing your shape, and you can put your measurements in via the scale box here. You can put the width and height in, and if you need it in proportion, you can keep your padlock on, but this one isn't at the minute, so I can just go 1.5, tab, 1.7 and enter. So that's my sticker size. So I want to resize this so it fits this box or thereabouts. I want to overlap it, of course. You've seen about offsets in the other video, and you're thinking, oh gosh, what a mess, just like this one up here, isn't it? And this caught me out. When we resize, when we've drawn with lines, for some reason the line width stays the same. It doesn't resize in proportion, and that is a bit of a nuisance. So let's undo. So how can we stop that from happening? Well, it took me a little bit of figuring out, because it's not something I'd come across, and we need our modify panel, and with our shape selected we need this option, detach lines, and this detaches the outline from the shape and converts them into a shape themselves. And that means instead of these being lines, they will be shapes. So let's click that and see what happens. And if I go in, and you should be able to see that every single bit of this now got a little grey line around it, and that's to tell me that each of these lines is now an individual shape. And if I click outside and then just click on one piece, you can see, look, I can move them all individually now, even the A from its bar. So you need to make sure you've got nothing underneath it when it does that, because if you accidentally click out, you've got to be able to draw around everything, make sure you've got it all, to select it and click Group Selected Shapes. And now if we drag down and resize, everything moves in proportion and looks like this one, which is exactly what we want. So then you take it to your sticker size, and from the corners, always remember from the corners to keep proportion, you resize it until it fits and looks alright. Now, because this one's black and white, it's not so necessary to worry about being over the cut line, so I would say this will thereabouts do, like so. And then all you need to do is add a bit of text, and in this case I used a font called Salty Sea. So let's just quickly do that. You can use any font you've got on your computer, of course, and you're going to be limited by size to what will fit in here, so you have to look at whether it's going to be readable. And we've got here order food shopping, because that's what Stephanie had, so that's what I'm going to type. So order food shopping, and it's come as just an outline because it thinks I want to cut it. So let's click outside and then select it and change the colour to black. No, I don't want an outline, I want to fill with black. There we go, that's better. And I want it centering, so let's use justify center. And I want a smaller gap between the lines, so I can use this one, line spacing, and then it's a case of making it fit. Now, if you have watched the other video, you'll know that my trick for whether you can read fonts once they're printed, because it's so easy to be misled by the screen, is to put your grid on, and whatever your measurement here is, if it's an inch or a centimetre, is to zoom in. And you can use this smooth scroll one by dragging in and out like so, and hold a ruler or a tape measure up to your screen, and then when you see that an inch on your screen here matches an inch on the ruler in your hand, then you know that this is the view. This is what you'd call a print view preview, in that what you're seeing on your screen is what you're going to see when it's printed. And I know that on my computer here, that works out at about 1 zoom in. Every computer will be different, but that's mine. So that's about an inch for me. So I can read that, order food shopping. So I know that's going to be all right. And then all you need to do is group together. And there you have a simple, plain, black and white sticker. And from this, you can then do this, add colour. But I tell you what, we'll do that in another video.